Hi guys, my name is Will. This is my first World of Warcraft video, and I've made this video in mind with the idea that people who are watching this already know how to install vanilla add-ons in World of Warcraft. If that's something that you're not familiar with, I am going to leave a link in the description of this video that will help you install add-ons in vanilla. It's not too hard, but if that is something that you're not familiar with, I do recommend you check that out before watching this video. With all of that being said, I hope you enjoy, and let's get on with the video. Okay, so with this tutorial we're going to be looking at my top picks for questing and leveling add-ons in vanilla World of Warcraft. I'm on the Cronus 2 PvP server right now to demo this video. I'm going to have to create a character just quickly so we can show the add-ons, just give them a random name. Now, with the add-ons themselves, I do use quite a lot of different add-ons, so what I will do is just disable all of those now, and we will go over the ones that we're going to use one by one. So the first one that I'm going to be showing is Bongos. I'm just going to enable that now. I will be leaving a link in the description of this video to each of the individual downloads for these add-ons. So I mean, you guys, you can pick and choose what you want. I understand that some of these add-ons might not be for everybody, and everyone's got their own preference when it comes to playing. So with that said, we're now going to take a look at Bongos. I'm just going to get into the game. I'm going to have to skip past the intro.
Bound.
There we go. So coming into the game now, you can already see that this is very different from the classic setup for vanilla World of Warcraft. So Bongos is basically a user interface add-on. It's going to give us a lot of different options for customizing our user interface. You can already sort of see here the XP bar is now up here. We've lost a lot of the bars in this area. I know that you also have some to the right in vanilla. I think you've got some to the left, but I'm not quite sure. I'm just going to start this from the very beginning. So I'm actually going to get rid of this just in case you didn't get that option coming into the game. But let's just assume that you are looking at something like this. To bring up that option box that you just saw in my tutorial, you just type in /bongos. Now, as far as I'm aware, this is how it comes out of the box, but just in case it's not, I'm also going to type in Bob reset, and what this is basically going to do is reset the application. Now nothing's actually happened, so I'm going to assume that this is how it comes out of the box. Now, first things first to note with this particular add-on is that you have the lock bar positions option here, which is currently ticked. Unticking that is then going to bring up everything that you can customize. Now, for example, I'm going to start just here with our stats. Okay, this is showing me things like my frame rate and my latency. I'm not particularly interested in seeing this. So for these things that you might want to get rid of, let's say you're a warrior and you don't have a pet, you can just right click this and hide the bar. Right click and hide the bar. Now with the XP one, for example, up here, I do quite like that, even though I will be showing us another add-on later on in this tutorial which is also going to show your XP. I do quite like this, but it's a bit long for me. Now with this particular add-on, you actually have a lot of customization in terms of the bars themselves. So right clicking again here, you can see, for example, that we can vertically display our XP bar. It's just gone there, which I'm not too keen on either, so I'm just going to actually leave that as it is. But something that you can do, which I think is really cool, is you can actually adjust the width, height and scale of the bar itself. So I'm just going to make mine a bit shorter here, so it can sort of just hang about up there without sticking into my character's icon or the map itself. You do have the map one just here. Again, right click it. This is something that is scalable. Whether you want to make that bigger or larger, it's completely up to you. These are draggable, so if you want to move your map down here, say for example, that is another option that you have. I'm just going to leave that there now. However, I do, I've got no option, no problems with that being there. So I can go ahead now and just close this. So you've got things like your profiles, for example. Relentless is another character which I've already used this on. You can save this. So for example, if I was going to save my current setup to this character, I could just do this now, and then if I play another character in the future and I want the same setup, I can just load that setup from this. It will save it, and this is server transferable as well as you have the add-on. Sorry, as long as you have the add-on. Now, with your action bars down here, this is something, again, you can't actually drag and drop abilities right now, because we are modifying this. Depending on what you want, you can customize this. If you want your abilities, say a couple of abilities down here, again, that's perfectly fine. You can do that, no troubles. So having said all of that, again, I'm quite happy with this. My cast bar, again, very happy with where it is in the middle of my screen. You have the option to see your bags, your key, and your menu down here. All in all, it's a fairly nice add-on. It just basically allows you to smarten up your user interface. Now, you've got things like visibility as well. You can show, if you want your stats, the one that I got rid of earlier, you can bring that back up again, your pet, etc. I'm not too fussed with any of these. I'm quite happy with how it all is. You do have a degree of customization as well when it comes to the action bars and the abilities themselves. So for example, we can see over in the distance over there that there's a dusk bat. This is currently grayed, it's coloured for me. It's basically telling me that it's out of range. If I come into range, you'll see that my fireball has just lit up, and then coming back out of range, that's there. This is basically controlled by this function, the enable enable range colouring. Removing that basically doesn't, you get the standard red over the number, but using it again, just here enabling this, it'll actually mask out the entire ability. Again, that's customizable here with the colour options. You've got things like self-casting, paging as well, and stances. This is more for things like warriors, druids, etc. All of that, again, highly customizable. So I'm very happy with how this looks right now. It didn't take much modification for me out of the box, so I can just go ahead and lock the bar positions now that I'm done with that. With your abilities, if you want to drag and drop, this is something that you're going to actually have to use the control function for. That's just basically an option that you can modify yourself, I believe, in the interface options, if I'm not mistaken, by locking the action bars, etc. But that's something that you will have control over, not the add-on. Okay, so on with the next add-on. Page now, I can go ahead and enable another add-on. So for the next one that we're going to be looking at, it's going to be Vanilla Guide, and I'm actually going to enable Vanilla Guide and Questi. So both of these are individual add-ons. You are going to have to install them individually, but we're just going to cover both of them now because they team up really nicely. They work really well together. It's something that these basically both serve the same function when it comes to questing. But they do it in a slightly different way, and we're going to take a look at that now. So Vanilla Guide is basically, you've just seen it come up here now as soon as I've logged in. It's effectively like a logbook almost of the most efficient way for you to level. Now, this is done in a number of different ways. So for example, to give this credit as well, this was originally created off the back of Jonas's Horde guide. If you've ever read that, the idea was basically that this was something that someone had basically gone through questing so much that they put together a guide of the fastest way to get to 60, and this has basically adapted that guide and put it into the game as an actual add-on. Now, so just coming through all of here for a second, okay, so just to go over this quickly, accept a quest is in teal, go do a quest is in blue, turn in a quest in green, and a general mob / item is in purple. Now this is a add-on that is quite highly customizable, and it works for every race of the Horde and the Alliance, and the way that we can do that, I think if I'm not mistaken, it actually calibrates to the character itself. I'm just going to press this one here. So basically this takes us to the next page. Sorry, this one here takes us to the next page. This basically takes us to the next part of the script, next part of the process. We're just going to the next, yeah, here you go. So this is actually just bored us straight into death now. It understands that I am playing on an undead. So you can see here it says 1 to 6 death knell, and then it basically has a number of processes for you to go through. So run to the steps and exit the crypt, which we've already done. In front of you, from Undertaker Mordo, accept the quest Rude Awakening. So we can go ahead and accept that quest now. I'm sure you guys already know how the starting zones, the quests in the starting zone, but this is basically going to help you go through the entire process of getting to level 60. Now, the way that you can change this for different races and different factions is down here. You have this up arrow. You can go ahead and you can see here it says Vanilla Guide with an introduction, and you have all of the starting zones for the Horde. You've got the Taurens, you've got the Undead, you've got the Orcs and Trolls. You've got later leveling from 12 to 20, all the way up 50 to 60 for the. I'm just going to move this over so we can see the zones. Different zone levels, for example, you've got South Barrens 25 to 25, 25 to 26, and 1,000 Needles. And then on top of that also you have a profession guide, and this is basically going to tell you how to cook, etc. for different professions. You've got enchanting, engineering, and it's basically going to tell you the most effective way to level both with your character and your professions. Now, this is something that is going to be usable for the Alliance. You have to log into an Alliance character to actually do that. It doesn't load the Alliance character on a Horde character, so we can't actually see that options, but I know that it is there. Now, having said all of that with Vanilla Guide, Questi is basically, you can see up here in my mini-map, you see the question mark just here. It says Rude Awakening to complete, finished by Shadow Priest Sarvis. Now this is basically Questi taking effect. It's working with Vanilla Guide and saying, okay, we've got a quest, this quest is ready to hand in, and it's in this building just here. So we can go ahead and just hand in this quest now.
Speak quickly.
Now, so we've just done this bit here. Accept the mindless ones, and if you're a warlock, accept piercing the veil.
Trust no one.
So being a warlock, we don't have the ability to accept that quest. So now you can see Questi is now showing that we have 2 sword icons just here, which is basically going to kill these mobs. For collection mobs, you'll basically, sorry, not for collection mobs, but for collection quests, you'll have like a loot bag icons. Now you can see obviously I've got a little exclamation mark just here, which is a quest off in the distance. If I hit M on my keyboard and go to the map, you can actually see that that's logged on my map as well. So you can see it says 5 a rogue's deal. Now that 5 being level 5, it is available. It starts by Calvin Montague. You've got a brief description of the quest. So deliver the nondescript letter to innkeeper Renee in Trifsful Glades. And another thing that's worth noting here is that you can shift click to manually complete the quest. Now with Questi, that is something that I've had to do before. It doesn't always recognise that I've done that quest, and if you do a quest that Questi isn't active and you turn it on again, then that is something that's going to not be recognised, and you'll have to complete that by shift clicking the quest. At which point it'll say, okay, this character's done it. So yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to the quest add-ons that I use. It does help with leveling, makes it really, really simple, and we'll now move on to the next add-on. Okay, so I'm back in my add-ons list now, and the next one we're going to be taking a look at is the Lunar unit frames. So I'm just going to turn this on now, and the other one I'm also going to turn on at the same time is Mob Info 2 and Mob Info 2 Browser. I'm going to do both of these because they're fairly easy add-ons. They won't take very long, so and they're not hard to understand either. So I'll just put both of those on now, and we'll take a look at both of those at the same time. Okay, so with the first add-on, which is our Lunar unit frames, you can already see that my character portrait has changed. You can see up here. You can see my health, my mana, and also my experience. Now going back to Bongos, should you wish to change that, we can just go to the Bongos settings, lock bar positions, and remove that should we wish, and then we're going to be able to just use this experience bar to go off in the future. It's completely up to you how you want to do that. It's just going to clean up your UI a bit more if you turn off the Bongos option. Now, to access the Lunar unit frames, just go ahead and type in /Lunar unit frames. We're going to bring up this box just here, which is basically going to give you all of your options. You can enable or disable the player frame configuration, and then you've like Bongos as well, you've got your very similar in terms of, like, you know, your height, for example, the width of it. You know, it's very customizable depending on how you want to do that. You've also got aura positions, which is basically, I don't have any displayed right now. If I just put on Frost Art on my mage, you can see that not only is the buff come up here in the top right hand corner, but we also have that under our portrait. This is something that you're able to heavily customize depending on what you want, and not only that, you can also do that for your pets, you know, your targets, etc, etc. It's all fairly easy to understand. I don't feel like it's going to be hard for me to explain any of that. It's just basically a nice little add-on that's going to give you more information there. And the other important thing with this add-on that I really love is that if we go and target a mob now, we actually have that mob's health. And not only do we have that health, which you can see this guy's killing this one now, you've also got things like, you know, what it is. It's a beast, for example. It's level 1. It's all fairly self-explanatory, which is something that I really like about this. I do like information in my games. If I know how much you know, its health, I can make, you know, a better estimation of what it's going to take to kill it. You know, it's more information, and not to mention that I kind of do like the moving portraits. It's a bit more interesting. It adds a nice little flavour to the game, and it makes my UI much more appealing. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about was Mob Info 2. Now, Mob Info 2 is basically a really cool little add-on, and I think that this is going to be something especially useful when Nostalrius's new server launches with Elysium. And that's basically that if we go and select a mob now, you can see, let's just take this young scavenger wolf just here, on the bottom right hand side of my screen, you can see it says level 1 beast. You can see the HP, the mana and the location, but if I just go and type in Mob Info 2 quickly, we can actually customize this. So you can turn on, for example, the mob class, item value, you know, coin drop, even the empty loots, the amount of time that happens, and you can also customize it to the point, you know, you can show stable health maximum. It's quite heavily customizable, and I believe there's another option here. So if we kill this, it has to be killed first, I think, to do it. So I'm just going to kill this wolf first. We should be able to see. Okay, there we go. Now we've got more information on it. So looking again at the bottom right hand corner of my screen, you can see the XP yield and how many we've killed. So I've got 50 XP and 1 kill. Now you can see on the right hand side of that information, we have a box that says KTL. And that basically means kills to level. So that's telling me that if I kill 6 of those wolves at 50 XP each, I kill 6 and I will level. Now that is very useful information, especially because when the new server launches, it's not going to look like it looks on my screen now. You know that there's going to be thousands, if not tens of thousands, of players all trying to level up new characters. And what does that mean? It means that the starting zones are going to be incredibly heavily congested. You're going to have to group for quests. It's going to be a slog to try and break ahead of the pack. Now, what this lovely little add-on is actually going to allow you to do is, it's going to allow you to calculate how much of a grind you would need to do on a certain mob in order to achieve that level, which, especially when it comes to vanilla WoW, is certainly a viable option. Questing is obviously the faster choice, but in a situation like that, where you're playing with thousands of other people, occasionally grinding that option wins out, and this is something that's really going to be useful to actually get an idea of, you know, how much you would need to grind. You'd probably be able to tell how much of a time scale you would need to spend as well doing that. So yeah, that's another great add-on. Again, heavily customizable. You can customize it to show the information that you want. The other thing as well, I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but with Questi as well, obviously when you kill a mob, so this mob, for example here, this wretched zombie I need for a quest, you get the standard, here, wretched zombie slain 1 out of 8. You know, just everyday game stuff. But actually hovering over the mob again, you can see in the bottom right hand corner there, it says wretched zombie 1 out of 8, which is just another really nice little thing about Questi to help you keep tabs on it. But again, really useful. And yeah, let's carry on with this tutorial. Okay, so for the last add-on I'm going to be showing, we're going to be taking a look at an add-on called Atlas. Now this is actually more than one single add-on. We've got Atlas Loot and we've also got Atlas Quest, and I'm going to be going into both of those. You're going to be able to download all of these from the link in the description below. I'm just going to go and enable them now, and we'll jump straight back in. Okay, so what Atlas does is effectively it's kind of like an improvement on Questi and Vanilla Guide. It's basically got multiple functions, and this is to do with both loot and quests, as well as dungeons and various things like factions, for example. The way that we can access this add-on is actually, if you look in the UI here at the top right on our mini-map, we've got 2 icons here. We've got Atlas and we've got Atlas Loot Enhanced. We can go ahead and open Atlas to begin with, and as you can see here, it's just come up straight away with a map, a bird's eye view of the Scarlet Monastery. You've got the various entrants to the different instances inside of the Scarlet Monastery, and the way that we can change this here is if you go to select map, you've actually got a list of various different instances that you can choose from. We're actually looking at entrances right now. You've got things like battlegrounds, dungeon locations, flight maps, you've got Kalimdor instances, and of course Eastern Kingdom, as well as just general world bosses. Now, with this kind of thing, it basically is going to allow you to do 2 things. You can see the loot that drops inside of the instances. So for example, if we go to the Dead Mines, you can see here the different entrances are listed on the right. We've got entrance A and B. So if we go ahead, for example, and choose an instance that both factions can use, I'm just going to take Sunken Temple as an example here. We can see things like, for example, the entrances, where the various points of interest are. So for example here you can see there's 1, 2 and 3, and on the panel just here we can see that they are rare mobs in the various parts of this. Then you've also got access to a thing called Atlas Quest. Now you can access Atlas Quest up here by pressing this button just here, and as you can see on the left hand side we get a pop-up menu of various different quests that are available for the Sunken Temple. Now this is basically something that you're able to choose from depending on the faction that you play, and you can modify that by selecting the Alliance or Horde just here. And then you can also see, for example, that the Voodoo, number 11 here, is a Shaman only quest. So there are class-specific quests available as well. That's obviously something that you're going to have to do for your various classes. It's not something that's going to be available to everybody. Now, on top of this, we can also see things, for example, like Atlas Loot, which is effectively going to allow us to choose, let's just say we're going back to Sunken Temple again, so if we go to Dungeon and Raids, we can see where Sunken Temple, there it is, sorry guys. And then we've basically got a list of the various bosses inside of the Sunken Temple. So if I go to balcony mini-bosses, for example, we can see just here that the loot table, and this is something that may be grayed out initially, but if you right-click it, it's effectively going to give you what the equipment is. And then it will also give you, can see just here when I pan over it, you can see that it comes up with the drop rate as well as what the equipment actually is. Quest items as well are just available here. I'm just going to go to another boss just here, so if we go to Dreamside, for example, we can see that Nightfall Drape has a 4.48% drop chance, requires level 48, etc. You get all the stats. Now this isn't something that is only limited to this instance either. You can do things like world bosses, for example, PvP rewards, various sets and collections, sorry. You've got tier 3 sets, for example, just here. I don't know if this is going to be available straight out of the box if they're not in game. But yes, it looks like they are. You're going to have access to all of this through Atlas Loot. It's a very useful thing. You'll be able to sort of see what instances drop what kind of gear for you, and also it's really, really useful for quests when it comes to leveling, especially for the lower level dungeons, as Questi and Vanilla Guide do not offer that, and you may get bored of Questi, you may decide that you fancy doing a dungeon run, and these will certainly help you optimise your time and investment when it comes to questing for those dungeons. Hi guys, I've just been watching the footage back in my editor and I've realised that I've left quite an important part of this tutorial out of the video, but I just wanted to recap here and say that if you come down to your add-ons tab here, you can see that my script memory right now is 148. Now chances are that yours isn't going to be this. It's probably somewhere between 30 and 50, I think the default is set to. You are going to want to significantly increase this. I do recommend sort of putting it between 130 and 150, and the reason for this is basically this is what's going to allow your computer to run these add-ons, and if you don't have enough memory allocated to running them, it's going to affect your gameplay. You know, it might be a bit laggy, it won't run smoothly, so you just bump that up to somewhere between 130 and 150 and you should get smoother gameplay. It'll allow it to run all of the add-ons that you need without the stress of trying to sort of cram it into 40 megabits of memory. Okay, I will be doing another tutorial soon on add-ons that I think are very good to sort of make you money while you level. Please consider subscribing if that's something you're interested in. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys.